Bria Maranthus with Mike Fisher. We're here at Dallas Cowboys headquarters, the Star in Frisco, where of course topics are rolling about quarterback Dak Prescott. Could the Cowboys really trade Dak? And if they did, what would they get for him?
You know, the easy answer before was, what do you mean trade him? The plan is to sign him to a long-term extension and Cowboys for life. But as we sit here at the Star, they haven't done that. The Cowboys haven't done it, and Dak's side hasn't done it. And NFL Network is reporting that both sides are like, we're fine. We'll see you in March when he can be a free agent. So that fuels the idea that, well, if you're going to lose him in March, why don't you go ahead and lose him now and get something for him? And so the rumors come and the speculation comes. I thought we'd rattle off the three recent blockbuster quarterback trades for as illustration, what you could theoretically get for Dak. Okay, you ready?
Ready.
The Stafford to the Rams thing in 2022. So
that worked out well for the Rams.
The Rams won a Super Bowl, right? And the Lions are happy. They got Goff, so they got a starting quarterback. They got basically a starting quarterback and 2 ones for Stafford, if you boil down to the essence. So 2 number ones and a good player. Would the Cowboys trade Dak Prescott for 2 number ones and a good player? And could they get that? Next, Cleveland and the Texans, 2022. They send, the meat of the deal is 3 number ones to Houston to get Deshaun Watson. Can you get 3 number ones for Dak? I don't think so. Can you?
I don't know. We'll have to pick up the phone and start calling.
Okay, and then the Russell Wilson. The meat of that one is 2 ones, 2 twos, and Drew Lock, the quarterback prospect. So that's what you can get if the circumstances are such. Now, is Dak Matthew Stafford? Is Dak Deshaun Watson, or where he was? Is Dak Russell Wilson? Somebody could argue, listen, Dak's better than Russell Wilson. Give us all those kind of picks. I wonder if teams are going to be reluctant to do any kind of a deal like that because of the Deshaun deal hasn't worked. The Browns are not better for it, and the Texans are. The Russell Wilson thing is a disaster. The Broncos are not better for it. The Seahawks are. So before we get too deep into the silly speculation, the facts are really important. These are blockbuster deals. They involve multiple first-round picks, and I'm trying to think. Let's do Chicago, New England, Washington. The one that's 1-3-2. Why would they want to go get a $60 million quarterback, which is what 60 whatever, which is what Dak Prescott wants, rather than just draft a guy whose pedigree is better than Dak Prescott? No offense to Dak, but Caleb Williams, USC quarterback, who you've seen, right? His pedigree is that he's the best player in college football. Dak was a 4th-round pick. So I would say tap the brakes on the idea that the Cowboys can or will go get a big pile of picks for Dak Prescott. It might be easier just to concede, he's pretty good, and that's kind of where we are.
Let's keep the quarterback Dak Prescott conversation going. If the Cowboys and Dak don't get a contract extension, what kind of impact would that have on the locker room?
I think it'd be a disaster. The locker room, this is a Dak Prescott locker room. I think it'd be very difficult for them to understand. Wait a minute, what we're doing what? Why? Because so we can...
That's our guy.
It is our guy, and if we don't have him in 2025, we're going to get Blaine Gabbert, we're going to get Minshew, we're going to have Cooper Rush. A lot of people say, well, you have Trey Lance. He's not under contract presently for 2025. There's also this, what does it do to the draft? If you're really serious about saying goodbye to Dak Prescott, then you might as well get really serious about drafting his replacement. Now.
Totally.
And what does that do to the locker room? That's not good in the locker room either. Now you've got a lame duck Dak Prescott, and it's his building, and you've got the guy who the Cowboys have already tabbed as his replacement. So the Cowboys have created a mess for themselves. There's no question about it, partly due to indecision. They made their Dak decision. They made their commitment to him. This was going to be the guy. And now, between all in, not all in, less is more, and all these other mantras that are being spewed in this building, the next thing you know, the organization and the roster and the locker room, as talented as it is, because this is still a talented roster, very much in limbo in terms of how good it could be.
Running back Ezekiel Elliott, beloved here in Dallas, open to a reunion with the Dallas Cowboys. What is the likelihood that Zeke is wearing the star again this year.
Certainly beloved in this building and in this locker room.
Yeah.
So, in fact, I'll defer to
And
you
the
on
fan
that.
base.
Yeah, the fan base is interesting though, because there's kind of been a martyrdom thing now. The fan base likes him a lot
Full
more.
circle.
Right.
Yeah.
The fan base likes him a lot more now that he's gone. That's kind of, that's the way it's worked around here since Tom Landry. Cowboy fans knew it was over for Tom Landry and wanted him done until Jerry Jones fired him, at which point they thought, Tom, how dare you do that to Tom Landry?
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson benefits from the martyrdom thing. I'll let you speak, though, to the one person in the locker room that would be smiling the biggest if Ezekiel Elliott came back here.
His best friend, Dak Prescott.
And do you do it? Do you even think about doing it for that reason?
I mean, absolutely.
It's on the list, right?
Yeah, I think it's bugged Dak ever since Zeke did go to New England. I mean, I haven't said that he's said that, but it does seem like if my best friend ended up going to a different team when he had the opportunity to come stay in Dallas and he was overlooked, I'd be kind of miffed.
And went and played there in New England, as well as the backup guys.
Yeah.
He didn't play there as well as Tony Pollard did here, but
Right.
he could have done those things here.
Totally.
It's certainly a factor. We stand here at the start. He lives right there. I mean, literally, 2 throws. And so there's that factor. I mean, he thinks of himself, I know he does, as a Cowboy, and the locker room thinks of him that way as well. He is a spirit of the locker room kind of guy. Could he be a helper on the field? Of course he could. Does he want to play for cheap? Well, he may have no other options, and we certainly know that when it comes to spending for cheap, we know that that's kind of the Cowboys' plan right now. I think that while it is not a perfect marriage, I think it is a logical marriage, yes.
We've heard Jerry Jones say the Cowboys are all in this year. It always seems like it's Super Bowl or bust for Dallas. Is it Super Bowl or bust for Dallas this season? And if it is, what other teams around the league? Is it also Super Bowl or bust?
Here's what's funny about the Super Bowl bust thing in 2 bites. First of all, we say that Super Bowl bust, but no, there's never a bust. If
you make it to the Super Bowl, you're pretty happy.
and if you don't make it to the Super Bowl, what are we moving the team to China? I mean, there's no bust.
Yeah.
Except here's the second bite of that. The way the Cowboys are approaching this, and we've been reporting for weeks now, that this is a go for it this year without investing future assets into the year.
Yeah.
That's the all in. And after this comes a blow it up. And you look at the contract, Zach Martin, maybe goodbye. Tank Lawrence, maybe goodbye. Dak Prescott, maybe goodbye.
Mike McCarthy,
maybe goodbye. So those are there's the 3 biggest contracts on the roster and
the head coach.
And so there's your bust. If they don't have success this year, they are breaking up the gang. And they might even break up the old gang even if they do have success, just based on those contracts.
Yeah. Other teams that might have the same similar situation, Super Bowl or bust?
Very rarely have you seen anybody do it quite this way. Because in the NFL, we talk about blow it up. That's hard because contracts make it hard to stay competitive now and then to blow it up later. The Cowboys are going to try to straddle that river.
Yeah.
Try to be on both sides of that river. We think we can be really good now, and we're not making any commitments that take away from the future. I really can't think of a list of teams, not just doing it now, but period, that have ever quite gone at that. Usually, listen, either we're going for it, or we're rebuilding.
Maybe the Chiefs with Andy Reid retirement looming, or Travis Kelce retirement looming.
Yeah, except they just bought Chris Jones long term. Patrick Mahomes, as long as Patrick Mahomes is there, that's a win now and now window.
Winning forever.
Yeah, so this is a highly unique circumstance that the Cowboys have put themselves in. I've talked about the dysfunction as a result of it, and I believe in that. I think there's dysfunction in the building. I know there is dysfunction in the building because what they're doing is so odd and weird and uncomfortable. The saving grace is, when we talk about other teams, look at the rest of the NFC East.
Yeah.
Are the Giants ready to be good yet? No. Are the Commanders ready to be good yet? If the quarterback they draft is good, they can make the leap. But most quarterbacks don't turn. They're not C.J. Stroud right away, right? And when it comes to dysfunction in the NFC East, the Cowboys can't outdo the Eagles. And so maybe that's what helps the Cowboys a little bit. The roster is not as good as the Eagles, I would argue, but the dysfunction's not as bad as the Eagles. And so maybe the Cowboys and the Eagles will do a lot what they did last year, right? Fight to the bitter end and figure out which one can keep its stuff together, which the Eagles could not do in the regular season. And then in the playoffs, Cowboys couldn't do it either.